I want to go back to 2006 when Not Too Shabby released Play Me, when you had 3 or 4 band members who had a real bluesy influence, and obviously with the first album Play Me, their influence got across and the album came out bluesy. And then when you come to 2009, the Moving On release, myself and Dr. Cole joined a year or 2 years previous. We got our influences in, so the album took on a more rockier, heavier rock sound. Now you come to Against the Night, it's a more heavier rock sounding album, and also with some lighter elements in there as well. So the tracks that's being mentioned here is Groovy Train and My Way. These tracks have been around for a good 5 years, and it was actually recorded and intended for a second album before me and Dr. Cole joined. But obviously due to various lineup changes, never saw the light of day. So we intended to have them released at some point, but we had to re-record them because obviously of the lineup changes. We wanted it our versions and our way. So for Against the Night, we've done them and they sounded fantastic, and they sound very different to what they used to sound. So yeah, we're glad to have them on the album. Well, this had more to do with Dr. Cole and Danny. I think they was going through lyrics within the album, you know, each song. And I think they was looking for a suitable name for the album, which can sometimes be difficult, but I think they were going through Not Too Shabby lyrics and they saw the line Against the Night in there. And, you know, a pretty good album name, I think, pretty solid, and that's what we've decided upon. So thanks to Danny and Dr. Cole for looking through the lyrics, which took some time. This one, not too hard to answer really, because when you get some bands, they do concept albums, or some bands within an album will release like a trilogy of songs. And really, we did the third part of this trilogy first. It wasn't intended to be a trilogy, but when as we got on with doing the album, we did a song called March of the Fallen, and it's about preparing for battle. You know, like wherever you may, you know, in your own mind, wherever you think it could be it. And then we thought, well, okay, yeah, this could lead on to something. So we did a second song, Fight Till the End, which then was about the battle. And you know, that was deliberately done to make it into like a two-parter. But we looked back on the lyrics for somewhere and how that song went, and we decided to add it as a part 3. But if you listen to all 3 songs, the slight musical finger-picking kind of styles in the songs, and it was deliberate, so you got a sense of an idea that the 3 songs were all linked together. That's a good question, because when we recorded the 3 tracks, you know, we wanted like intros that would indicate at what stage, you know, the battle was, such as, to give you an indication, when we did March of the Fallen, which is part 1, of course, we wanted some, like, I don't know, people sat around me, you know, like you get in American Civil War, sat around a campfire talking about the war and stuff like that. And that's what we tried to do, or we wanted to do, for part 2, which was the battle, and then part 3, which was the aftermath. But I think we decided against it, and what we did, we decided to add some military drum patterns. Because, of course, as you know, with rock drumming and any sort of drumming, that's some origins of drumming start from there. So we kind of wanted to introduce that, and for part 1, obviously we got Danny on the drums, acoustic and electric by the way, and we tried various different drum patterns, and we wanted them to incorporate the feel and what was happening with each track. So March of the Fallen, the drum beat indicated that it was like a preparation, you were preparing for battle, and then Fight Till the End, very military march beat, which indicated you're going into battle, you're in battle. And then you get part 3, which is Somewhere, and there's some keyboard element in that, and it's not so much a drum beat, but a few crashes on, you know, a few crashes with the snare and toms, which indicated when you hear the big crash, you're in a very dark and bleak place, because what's surrounding you after a battle is just nothing but death. So it just gives you that mood of you're in a very dark and black place. And yeah, very effective and works very well, as you will hear when you listen to the album. Yeah, definitely, of course. I don't think we ever intended to put an instrumental on Against the Night, to be honest. I just think we went for tracks, just normal tracks really, with the usual singing, vocals and all that, and guitars. But Ditty came about by chance. It was just one of those things where you mess about in the studio. We love playing Bad Boy live, which is our only instrumental that we have at the minute, and it's received well by audiences, and we just love playing it. So yeah, we'll definitely release some instrumentals in the future. But as regards the 52nd one we have on the album, which is Ditty, that was intended to be an intro, But as we found out playing it live a few times, it's always better right at the end. Once the audience thinks you've done and you've gone, you just kick into Ditty, and people's like, "What the hell's going off?" And then it just receives a great response from the audience. So whenever you think it's done, all hell breaks loose, and that's the kind of reaction you want from the outside. So. No, not really. No, it wasn't deliberately left out at all. I think if you're going to include a guitar solo in a track, it's got to improve the track itself. And if it doesn't, then I don't see a point in sticking a guitar solo in there for the sake of it. And with March of the Fallen, although I did tinker with putting a guitar solo in there, it just didn't improve the track. So March of the Fallen on its own stands up very well and didn't need a guitar solo. Well, you have to go back again to one of the earlier questions that I answered. If you go back to Play Me, you had most of the band influenced by blues. So, of course, the album came out very bluesy. Moving on, slightly different. You still had some blues influence in there, but you could see a progression coming on. But there's a lot more variety in the album. But Against the Night, obviously now is just 4 members. And you listen to the album, you've got your heavy rock in there, you've got some lighter songs, which is, like in the question, Designs and Space. I think we wanted some lighter stuff. If you want to just keep going with the same stuff in one album, it can get a bit repetitive. So we wanted some variety. So you got Funky Town as well, which is really different. March of the Fallen, the trilogy, but it just shows what variety in music that you can produce. I think the two that we wanted to put, the two that we've been discussing, I think was The Game. That's been touted as being put out as a single for a long time. But then we also talked about Hard as Nails. The problem I think we got with Hard as Nails, it's quite a long song for a single. And if you're going to put a single out there, you want it to be short, sharp, and for us, and punchy. So I think The Game is going to be the one we're going to do. Yeah, definitely. You're in a band. If you don't perform live, why be in a band? So yeah, we're going to be gigging soon. We're just going to get the album sorted out, get that released, get it into a few magazines so it gets out there to the people, so they can read up about it and then be interested in listening to the album, get some more fans in there, and then shoot the video, release the single, and then get on to some promoters, and then get some gigs.